Hello everyone, and here we are with Dr. Rupa Banerjee, who is the Director for Inflammatory Bowel Disease, AIG Hospitals. And on the occasion of World IBD Day 2023, we are here again for all of you, for our dear patients and their caregivers, for something really special and educative. Today's theme is going to be on diet and microbiome. I think it's a very hot topic and we all want to really hear every time what can we eat. So let's hear it from Dr. Rupa Banerjee today and learn some more scientific, some cool stuff, some educational stuff. And I'm sure all of you are going to have a lot of fun in the next 20-25 minutes.
Thank you, Nalini. I think, yes, indeed, today is a day for all of you. And it's a day for all of us who are working together to see good outcomes, a good, healthy life for all the patients. And, Nalini kept asking me that why should we have diet and dietary therapy as the topic. I think World IBD Day, I realized that as patients, what are you looking for? Whenever we asked any patient, they just want to know what they can eat, what is good for them in the long run, how they can prevent a complication. And for every child, every mother asked, is there any dietary therapy? Can we give some food which will relieve him rather than give him medication after medication? So I thought that this is a good time to focus on diet, how with diet we can help patients. And I'm of course open to questions as they come from you. And Nalini is doing a lot of work on diet, the gut bacteria, how to integrate the two, whereby you can change the bacteria in your gut to healthy bacteria simply by dietary modification.
But Dr. Rupa, do you think that the dietary therapy is too far-fetched? Like how close are we, or are we just talking in like a very futuristic way by saying that diet as a medicine or food as medicine?
This is a good question, Nalini. I think the most important thing that we have to remember is these are age-old concepts. Long before even our grandmothers, turmeric milk has been used as a treatment for the common cold. It worked. They did not give any other medication, and we would not have had indiscriminate, avoidable use of antibiotics, over-the-counter medications if parents today followed that there could be simple recipes which can cure the common cold. What we are finding actually, Nalini, is that, how did IBD come into India?
Correct.
I mean, there was a time when IBD was a disease of the West. The foreigners, the so-called Western world, US, Europe, there was IBD. In India, we had our standard infectious diseases, amoebic colitis, taking some medications, malarias, filarias, no IBD. But we became modern. Look at our shopping malls these days. Look at our supermarkets.
Full of processed and packaged foods and
so our traditional lifestyles have changed.
Yes.
We've forgotten to cook.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's so easy to order a Swiggy or just go out to the store and buy something.
Buy a burger and a pizza and you're done.
Yes, and the standard. So with that, we are seeing an increasing incidence of IBD. So it's not directly related, and this is for the patients. It's not that you took a Maggie today or a burger yesterday and you got IBD. But it's a general trend that over years and years of these ultra processed foods, the preservatives, the emulsifiers that we are using have gradually increased the incidence and prevalence of IBD. But for definite, for our next generation, this is a warning sign. I think for our kids, for the next gen, healthy eating habits have to be inculcated very early on. And only with that can we prevent the increasing numbers of inflammatory bowel disease.
So before we actually start moving into understanding the mechanism of how diet is actually related to IBD, because it's obviously not the food directly which is going to be a medicine, but it's actually through a medium which is known as the gut microbiome, which is actually the major player in any kind of a chronic disease.
I think, Nalini, you are the best person to talk about it. And if you can just very simply put it for our patient population, what is the so-called microbiome, and how you are analyzing it in your lab?
I think I'm sure all of us here are actually more bacterial than we are human. So we are having 10 more times of bacterial cells than we have our human cells. And bacterial cells can be from all the way from our head to our nasal cavity, the lungs, the oral cavity, the gut obviously is the huge harbor for a bacterial population, from the colonic itself having 10 billions of bacteria actually. So when we are looking at it, we're all living in harmony. So it's the human cells and the bacterial cells that always need to be living in harmony, and this kind of a balance between the different species of bacteria is actually the most crucial factor for our general well-being. So without bacteria, I don't think we would have even been able to survive today, because I think from the time a baby is born, the baby is actually infused with the mother's vaginal microbiota. So itself goes to show that we are dependent on microbes from the day we are born.
I think, I just to simplify the entire concept with you. So today I am not me alone. I and the millions of bacteria who are inside me together make me. So that is a concept we have to understand. So these are all our neighbors staying together, and we have to understand their welfare so that all of us together can stay healthy. And these millions of bacteria who are staying in us since our birth is the gut microbiome. So I think, Nalini, if you can say that now with technology, you can actually identify which bacteria is there, and what composition.
Thanks to the advancement in science, I think which would have not been possible even like a decade ago, because the environment in our gut is so complex that it's very difficult to grow these bacteria. But there is so much of advancement in technology now that we are now able to find out which are the exact bacterial genus, and even up to the species level, we can actually find out what exact bacterial species we have. So all we need to get is just the fecal sample or just the poop that you are actually flushing down every day, and we get so much of data. So I think each time you flush down, you should realize that you're flushing down so much of data.
I think that's a true lab person speaking, Nalini. We never thought that we had to think about our stools so much. But on a more serious note, actually, by just examining the stool sample, we can get a lot of information about what is going on inside. These technologies are a tad bit expensive, but at the same time, they give us a wealth of information. And nowadays, the focus is how diet can change the gut microbiome. And that is a focus of research across the world. At our center, we are doing a lot of work in that area. And our crux is, we find that a simple dietary modification, particularly in children with inflammatory bowel disease, in patients with Crohn's disease, which is early on, if we can modify the diet, the outcomes, the long-term outcomes are better. And mind you, I think this is the healthiest. We always talk of complementary and alternative medications, whether, I have patients who keep on asking me, can I take Ayurvedic? That is healthy. Can I take homeopathy? That is healthy. Can I try some concoction which my nature therapist advised me? Can I take rectal ozone? And variety of such things. But the most natural way of treating would be whether our standard diet, what we take day in, day out, can be modified for a healthy microbiome. And now we have science to prove it. As Nalini says, I mean, she runs I think one of the most dedicated IBD microbiome lab in the country. And I think this is the first, Nalini?
Yes.
So this is the first big lab in the country that she runs. And what we can do now is we can check your gut microbiome, find where there are deficiencies, and modify your diet according to the need. So I think this is the revolution area where science is taking us more towards the true natural treatment for inflammatory bowel disease. And I think, Nalini, you'll agree with me. The work that you are doing, you find that diet can change.
Definitely. I mean, as they say, like, you are what you eat, it's definitely very true for the microbiome, because I think each food component that actually gets into our system is being digested, as we know, as we're going along the digestive tract, and ultimately reaches the colon. And that is where the millions of bacteria use this food as a substrate to produce various amount of various degrees of carbohydrate utilizing enzymes. So they are producing our neurotransmitters, they're producing vitamins, they're producing short chain fatty acids, they're producing so many metabolites. And without the food, which is the substrate on which the bacteria need to act on, they are not able to produce these substances.
Let me tell you interesting facts on that. I mean, what Nalini says is the science. But interesting facts is actually whether you will be obese or not depends on your gut bacteria. Whether you will be happy or not, your mental health depends on your gut bacteria. There are many other chronic diseases other than inflammatory bowel disease. Research is showing that actually the gut bacteria is responsible. So the next day that someone tells you you are obese, you can tell them, well, it's not my fault, it's the gut microbiome, my gut bacteria. But we can alter that with the diet.
In fact, we just received a question a few days ago about what is the reasoning behind bloating in IBD. And it actually turns out to be that the gut microbiome again is a very crucial component there, because what's happening is that we have certain amount of dysbiosis, which is the imbalance in bacteria in IBD, and due to which you have gas producing bacteria which are very high. And the gas producing bacteria is actually the one which is responsible for all your bloating, flatulence, burping, and which is a very characteristic symptom of IBD. And who is responsible for that? It is the gut microbes which are inside the intestine and doing havoc in your gut there.
Yes, I think Nalini, the focus for this World IBD Day is rightfully, I think, what is more relevant for our patients here in India, and that is what is natural therapy, how can we modify diets. And that not only is it true that yes, modification of diet can help, our age-old thought process. I have young kids who come and ask me, and not one, many, that can I not eat now that I am sick? Can I not eat what I want to eat? Can I not eat what I like to eat? And it is true that whenever there is any bowel disease, the concerned family or the patient himself feels that all I deserve is bland diet, spiceless, somehow survive, rather than eat and be happy. So the whole concept, Nalini, and I think it is important that we know that, is You need not have tasteless, non
Palatable.
non-palatable food if you have IBD. We are taking a step forward on that this IBD day. Maybe you can.
Yes, we're really excited thanks to Dr. Rupa's vision that diet plays such a critical role in all our patients, and we really care for you, and we want you to come out of the notion that you need to have very boring food. So with our very dedicated team of dietitians, Sana and Pooja, as well as our research team with Varun, we have all been there to prepare a recipe book for all of you, and this is a collection of very interesting recipes, and where we have also written down how can each recipe be modified based on your condition, and that is going to be the interesting part of the book, because I think what Dr. Rupa always sees is that we have patients who are coming with different kind of issues. It's not that IBD as a whole is just a standalone. So I think each one is coming with different complications, and we need to understand that each one is different. So and Dr. Rupa, do you really feel that a dietary therapy is like any other mechanism or any kind of a new advancement? Is it going to have any adverse effects? Is it going to be on a long-term thing? Do you think that there is going to be a problem with this?
I think absolutely not, and in fact that is what I've been trying to highlight. So when we are talking of these modified recipes for the IBD patient, these are gut friendly, gut healthy recipes. So a normal person can have it. So it's not that this diet has to be cooked for you and the rest of the family eats something else. No, it is the standard diet which you can modify. It will help the IBD patient. It will help people with bowel disorders, but at the same time, it will be tasty and healthy for the normal person to eat as well. And that, I think, is the most important. We don't want the IBD patients to be treated like patients, and then somebody cooks, separately at home, some boiled vegetables, and that's all I eat. I have patients come and tell me that, I put in so much effort, I eat only that soup every day in the morning. No, not like that, not like that anymore. I think we are releasing the first edition of this book with a few of the South Indian recipes, but watch out at this space. We are doing a lot of research. The entire team is focused on that, and we will have more and more and more recipes so that those days will be gone where you have to have the, as Nalini put it, unpalatable foods. You deserve and will get a tasty yet healthy, gut-friendly diet. And I think World IBD Day, we pledge that. Let's all eat tasty, stay healthy. Thank you so much. And thank you, Nalini.
Thank you, Dr. Rupa. I think World IBD Day, the theme being IBD has no age. So let's just take that pledge that, we are all with you together, immaterial how young you are, how old you are, or in your teens or in your adolescence. We are all there with you, and let's hope that you have something interesting on your plate from tomorrow.